Morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Meg Ryan, and Matthews has the day off, and I hope he is staying nice, warm, and dry because it's kind of yucky outside, isn't it? Very rainy so far this morning and chilly as well, and believe it or not, we are not done with the cold air. So we do have a weather impact alert day today. That is for some of this rain can transition over to some snow. It could be a mixture of rain and snow. It could be all snow. And this is one of those unusual situations where the further east you go, the better chance you have of seeing some of those snowflakes. So the timing of this is going to be later this morning and through the early portion of the afternoon, because this is one of those scenarios which is never good for snow in the Piedmont Triad, but the moisture is in place and the cold air is trying to catch up to it in order to change it over. If you've lived in North Carolina long enough, you know it is hard for it to snow here in North Carolina. We need all those pieces to line up perfectly, and this is not one of those scenarios. We want the moisture and or the cold to be in place before the other comes in. And that is not what's happening here, unfortunately. So we have had a good amount of rain this morning, and of course we need the rain. So the cold air, though, unfortunately, has gotten hung up on the mountains and is having a hard time streaming into our area in order to change what rain we already have and changing that over into snow. I don't think when we get that changeover, I don't think we're going to get a lot. This is going to be more of what we call a novelty event. Kind of reminds me of what we had back in December. It'll be nice to look at, but I don't anticipate it having any impact to roads. Roads overall are pretty warm, so anything that falls would melt when it hits the ground in terms of the pavement. So roads will not be an icy concern during the day today. We're going to talk about tonight in a little bit. But grassy surfaces, mailboxes, tops of grills, decks, those places could see some accumulation, but not everybody's going to be seeing the snowflakes, especially considering that the cold air is taking its sweet time getting here. Some of that rain could be out of here before the cold air gets here. So how do you need to prepare for this? Well, if you're going outside, be right now, for the rest of the morning, for the most part, be prepared for a cold rain. So that means you need to wear layers, but also have something waterproof. It could be an umbrella, it could be a rain jacket. But we are waiting and looking for this cold air so that we can have this changeover. Let's take a look over downtown Greensboro right now. You can actually see some breaks in the clouds there on the horizon. So we have overcast conditions, but look at those temperatures. It's only 40 degrees. We need it to be 32 for that snow to make it all the way from the clouds down to the ground without it melting. And just a little bit of a wind. Dew points are good, so we have a lot of moisture in the air. We just don't have the cold temperatures. Overlooking Winston-Salem, not looking too bad, just in terms of not seeing the heavy rain right now. What you see right there is some steam because this camera's from the top of one of the buildings downtown Winston-Salem. But again, well above freezing, 40 degrees. High point, you can see some of those lower clouds there, still overcast, not actively raining right now, 41 degrees. So the temperature is where we're having the biggest issue. We'll take a look at the radar, and I'm going to take myself off here for a minute because I want to zoom in and look at a couple of things. So when you look at this initially, you see all this white, and you say, hey, Meg, it is snowing. That's what the radar says. Well, not necessarily, because the challenge is the radar is actually looking up. It angles up. So if up here is below freezing, it can show that it's snow, but at the surface it's not actually reaching the ground. So I think this is a little deceptive in terms of what we're actually seeing, because we just looked at the sky cams, most of this isn't even making it to the ground. So to say that it's snowing in Winston-Salem is not really the case. Let's take a wider view, and you can see where this moisture is. This is what we saw overnight, is out of here. But this is the batch that we're going to keep our eye on because all this moisture is still coming our way. And this is what, if it's in place when the cold air comes, this will be that transition. But something that's really interesting is there's the cold air. It is affecting Atlanta, portions of northern central Georgia. Even Alabama and Mississippi had snow this morning. We'll take a look at the panhandle of Florida, and you can see how, yeah, they're seeing snow this morning because they don't have the mountains to block their cold air. So the cold air was intense enough to overcome the moisture and create that wintry precipitation for them. For us, like I said, the mountains are blocking it, and so the cold air is not here while the moisture is still here. Look at temperatures. We're talking 40 degrees right now. Even Winston-Salem went from 39 back up to 40. Look at the mountains, a little bit of a change, but not a lot. So I know I sound like a broken record, but in order to get snow, you need the moisture and you need the cold temperatures, and we are lacking that cold temperatures. We have gotten rain, and we need the rain. So 0.06 inches in Winston-Salem, a little bit more than 1/10 of an inch in Lexington and Albemarle, a little bit less than that in Siler City and Sanford, Burlington right at that 1/10 inch or 1/10 inch, in Greensboro 0.13 inches. So some beneficial rain at least, and what's kind of interesting is you look at the foothills and the mountains and they have not gotten it today. So drought continues to be an issue here. We need the rain. We'll take what we can get. And this has been a good soaking rain. I know a lot of us are wanting the snow, and that's what we're talking about. But even if it doesn't change over to snow, the fact that we're getting rain is going to be beneficial for the ground. So let's take a look at these rain/snow chances. You can see the highest chance of rain is right there around lunchtime. The challenge is that cold air is going to get here right then or a little bit after. So the timing of the cold air arriving is not ideal to have snow, excuse me, based on the fact of where this precipitation is. And if we take a look at the past 7 days, we've been relatively warm. So this is why the pavement is warm, and any snow that falls is going to melt when it hits the ground, because we saw above average temperatures for most of the week, just 2 days, right near average or slightly below, but even yesterday was 50 degrees. So look at temperatures for the last 20 hours. It's kind of interesting to look at. So you see temperatures have been very steady. We're seeing a slow decrease in temperatures, and today is one of those interesting days where the afternoon is actually going to be colder than the morning. As that cold air comes in, it's going to drop those surface temperatures. So we went from 44 at around 11 p.m., midnight, and then very slowly dropping. So this is what I mean. It's taking a while for that cold air to get here to overcome the precipitation, and that's what we need for the snow. So taking a look at temperatures, we're still just too warm, right around 40 degrees, 41 in Burlington and Siler City, 39 in Danville. The mountains, they're below freezing, 26 in Jefferson and Boone, but they don't have the rain in place in order to make the snow. So let's take a look at those temperatures, and you can see where that cold air is. It is on the other side of the mountains, is down to our south. Atlanta's just barely above freezing, Macon, Georgia at the freezing mark, as is Montgomery. Even Burlington is Birmingham is colder than us at 29 degrees. Jackson, Mississippi at 28. So areas to our south, that cold air has been able to work its way in. It's just not getting to us fast enough. So let's take you hour by hour. You can see temperatures will continue to drop throughout the day. The coldest temperatures in terms of the afternoon is going to be around 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Right at or just barely above freezing, which can be enough, that can be cold enough in order to get snow. It just depends on what's happening above the ground in the higher levels of the atmosphere. So the main story today is, if that cold air can get here, it will change the rain over to snow. The best chance of that is going to be further out to the east. The closer you get to Raleigh, the better chance you have of seeing that transition. So let's take a look at Futurecast hour by hour. So here we are, just a little bit after afternoon. They're estimating temperatures at this time to be 34 degrees. I'm concerned it's still not going to be that cold. I think it could be a few degrees warmer than that, which means instead of snow that you see on the map, it would be more rain. As that precipitation moves out to the east, it dries behind it, and that's unfortunately when we have some of those colder temperatures. So it's the classic scenario of the cold air chasing the moisture, and if you've lived in North Carolina long enough, you know that is very difficult in terms of making the snow happen. We can get something, but it's usually not substantial. It doesn't add to a lot of accumulations and becomes more of an interest or it's fun to look at. It's interesting to look at, but it doesn't have an impact on us here in the Piedmont Triad. So if you take a look at this map, you can see the central portion of the state, we're kind of it's got a bullseye on Raleigh almost. This is where you have the best chance of seeing that mix of rain and snow. Foothills and mountains, you're out of this. This is not an event for you. We're looking further to the east for this one, which I think is kind of interesting. I've been watching this map all morning, and that even 1% area has been transitioning more and more out to the east towards Raleigh. So the best chance of seeing 1 inch of snow or more is bullseyed over Raleigh. We're not going to be seeing 1 inch of snow with this. So here's what you can expect. Light accumulations are possible. That's going to be on the cold surfaces like grass, elevated surfaces. I don't anticipate it affecting roads at this point. However, tonight's going to get cold. We're talking 21 degrees. So any leftover moisture on the roads after the sun goes down could refreeze overnight tonight, which means now we have the issue of black ice in the Piedmont. So that's one thing you need to be mindful of tonight, tomorrow morning. But the good news is tomorrow's a holiday. Schools are not in session. A lot of businesses are closed. So if you don't have to go out in the morning, wait until it warms up a little bit. At least wait till the sun comes up so you can see any of those spots. So sorry about that. I'm getting over a cold. So my forecast still stands. I'm still thinking a trace, maybe up to half an inch, but maybe a trace is probably much better at this point. The bus forecast would be, we don't get anything. It's just rain, no snow at all. And we're kind of on that borderline between seeing all rain and just a little bit of some rain-snow mix. The boom, not going to happen. We can pretty much put a big old X on that one. That's not going to happen. Forecast is still on track. If anything, we're leaning a little bit more towards the bust because I'm not as hopeful that we're going to be seeing that snow transition. I think the cold air is just going to take a while to get here. So tomorrow morning, though, that's the cold air, 22, 21 degrees, lots of sunshine, though. So for the afternoon, though, we'll be in the low to mid 40s, so it's going to be a nice afternoon, lots of sunshine. It's going to be a little breezy, though. We'll see sustained wind speeds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, but we could see gusts up to 15, even 20 miles per hour. But with it being 44, it will feel a little bit cooler than that because of the wind chill. But cold mornings are here for a while, so we're talking 21 tomorrow morning. Tuesday and Wednesday, only 18 degrees and 20 coming up for Thursday. Boone, no snow there. Kind of interesting to see that we have a better chance of seeing snow than them. Beach Mountain, hardly can see. There's a skier. So if you want to see the snow, you're going to have to go up there to see any snow. So we'll take a look at your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, cold, sunny, 44 degrees is your high. For Tuesday, only a high of 37, 18 in the morning, chilly. Also cold on Wednesday morning, but 45, 50 for Thursday afternoon. And next weekend, looking at 52. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned a little something, and I'll be back here at 10:30 for another update.